everybody, it's John with Shooting the BC. Thanks for joining me again today. We're taking a look at the new Coup de Grace from American Rifle Company. And this thing is just butter. So as we look at this Coup de Grace from American Rifle Company, notice this box is not super flashy. Pretty simple, just gets the job done, gets it to you. They're not wasting money on any fancy boxing or anything like that. Now, as we open this up, I ordered the Action with both bolt handles, the pivoting and the fix, and that's because I plan to run this Trigger Tech Diamond on it. And Ted says that that may or may not work properly with their system, so just those lighter triggers, just be aware. He says with the pivoting bolt handle, they might not work properly, so you may have to get the fixed bolt handle. I got both, but I think I'm gonna be able to run the pivoting online. Everybody seems to think that it's working fine. So in the box, pretty standard stuff. We got a schematic here of all the parts, and I broke the Action down and kind of showed you all those, or pretty much all of them. We'll take a look at that as we go. And then obviously your order slip, that kind of stuff, paper, and then this is just wrapped in some kind of protective paper. Okay, so there's the Action, and then I got this little baggie with my extra bolt handle, and then down in here is the Action wrench. Now this is quite a bit different than other Action wrenches I've used or seen, so we'll take a look at that when I do finally get a barrel to put on here. We'll get the box out of the way, all this paper. One thing to note with this Action wrench is it is tapped. Let's see, right here. So that is meant to go in your Action and then line up with this Action screw hole, and there's a little grub screw that it comes with. I'm not sure how I'm going to keep those from getting lost, but let's get rid of this box now and go over the Action. I'm going to try to keep this mostly about this Action. I may mention a couple others, like the Solus Action that I know you guys really enjoyed my video on that. Hopefully, if you haven't seen that, go ahead and go give that a look. Unfortunately, that Action, it just isn't going to work for me, so I ended up getting rid of that, send it back to Aero Precision, so I'm sorry about that. I won't be able to review that anymore. But going forward, I'm hoping to get a lot of good content, let you guys see what does and doesn't work with this. So, some things about this Action is it is a one-body integrated recoil lug and integral Picatinny rail. You can choose between a 20 and a 30 MOA. They do mark on here, let's see if you can see that, 20 MOA on there. It's got some nice lines. There's not a lot you can do with these Actions, right? If you're doing an Action right, they all look very similar. But it's got a little bit of detail here. The flashy bolt handle, I like the red, it matches the trigger hanger. And like I said, this is the pivoting bolt handle. It's got a 3-lug, I believe it's a 70-degree throw bolt. Okay, it is fluted on one side, just the side that you see. It's more for aesthetics than function, I think. And then a removable bolt head, like many of the other American Rifle Company Actions. Now this bolt body is a bigger diameter than like their Nucleus or Archimedes, so the bolt's different. It's not interchangeable. None of the parts are, as far as I know, interchangeable with the Archimedes or the Nucleus. So it's an all new design. It does have that slot for this bolt stop like the Solus did, so that's a couple Actions now. I haven't seen that before, the Solus, and now I've seen a couple. I think the Ruger American also has that feature. Well, I guess while it's out, we're going to talk more about it. So this is, I believe it's DLC coated, and the body of the receiver is very well done. It's got a mechanical ejector, so you can see that in there. Let's see, you can kind of see me moving that. So when you pull that bolt back, it engages that, and that's what ejects your case. So there's no plunger or springs on here. Okay, and it's also a control round feed. So as the case comes up, it gets captured right here. So as it comes up out of the magazine, it gets captured, and then it's in positive control all the way. So I like that feature. There's a couple actions out there. My Origin has that as well, and I like it. I'm a fan. So control round feed and mechanical ejector is what they call it. The bolt stop here is pretty beefy, and like I said, I've been having issues. I don't know. This is just barely started, so we'll see if we can. It's probably a me problem, not the action problem, but it's very well done. It's a beautiful action. It's one of the better looking actions I've seen personally. I mean, I just love the look of it. When I pulled it out of the box, my wife said that is the best looking gun that I own. So machining's nice. There is, I don't know if you can see, just, I don't know if it's machining marks or if it's left there on purpose for bedding to kind of get a little bit better bite, but on the rounded part on the bottom, there are very even lines, very faint lines the whole way. All the flats are perfectly flat, polished, almost, and then obviously nitrided, but very, very nice. I like it. The trigger hanger, we're going to go over it in a little more depth when we put it together, but essentially you've got this retaining screw here that holds it in, and then you've got these pointed pins that go into these slots, and then this grub screw, let's just pull that out, this grub screw here at the front engages that ramp right there, and that's how you adjust your sear engagement to make this thing just smooth. Now, kind of the overlying theme of this action is, I mean, there's just innovation in it everywhere. From the trigger hanger, now it's not the first one to have a trigger hanger, but I don't know of any others that are like this. There may be some out there. The adjustable trigger hanger, so you can get it just perfect. I know others have adjustable trigger hangers, but the way this adjusts I think is very unique. And then the pivoting bolt handle. So let's see, now that I've messed with it, if I can get it back together nice and easy. Alright, I think I know what's going on here. So if you look down in there at the ejector, I think if that's all the way forward, see how it's like binding on it? So when I go back, so the ejector's kind of leaning out of, like, so if I were to do it this way from the get-go, I think, yeah, see how that, if I go it on this side and I get it lined up perfect, maybe, yeah, so that's a lot better versus if I go this way, see, it's kind of binding. So that is kind of annoying, but not a deal breaker. Let's see if we can get it back in. There we go. Okay. So a little bit different, a little bit more challenging to get that bolt in and out, and that's just kind of the, you know, the master of arms, getting to know your action. I don't hate it. I've played with this a little bit. One thing I've noticed with it compared to like that Solus is this finish is not rubbing off yet. I haven't worked it quite as much as that one, but it seems to be holding up a lot better. I mean, I don't see any wear marks on it so far. So the only thing is maybe right there where that bolt handle, I don't know if you can see that shiny spot, where it hits the action, looks like that's starting to wear, but that's kind of the hardest thing, the hardest interference of this action. Now, as far as smoothness goes, I mean, this is what you would expect from a custom action. You know, it is smooth. And when we get the trigger in, we'll kind of go over the bolt lift. I know I kind of harp on that on a couple of my other videos, so we'll try to dive deep into that. But you don't really feel that spring on the bolt handle. I mean, if you see, It moves a lot, but it takes a lot of force. Like if I'm coming back, I don't think you'll ever notice it unless you have a stuck case. Now with the other bolt handle in the fixed one, which is this one right here, I have put it in and played with it a little bit. It does feel a little different. I prefer the pivoting bolt handle, and I think that's kind of what they designed it around. But overall, this thing is just, it's awesome. The action is everything that you would expect from a custom action, and one of the greatest things about this is the price point. I mean, this is right up there with almost all the other budget actions at $899, and it is everything that you would hope out of, you know, a much more expensive action. Like I said, it's got a 3-lug 70-degree bolt throw. Now, as far as pre-fits go, they are doing pre-fits. I know Patriot Valley Arms, as well as Preferred Barrel Blanks, is doing pre-fits. It is a Savage small shank, so you could, in theory, run a barrel nut barrel on this. The one, or at least one of, if not the biggest difference with this, is just the way it's designed. If you look in there, there's not really feed ramps in there. There's kind of a little bit, but essentially no feed ramps. So what that should do is allow you to run, so like I run the MDT mags without the binder plate to get that 2.950, and this will accept both AICS and AW mags. And with that, I'm hoping, because what I'm running now with my 260, sometimes the bullet will catch, you know, the tip of the bullet will catch right here. So I'm hoping that alleviates that, but because of that, one of the big differences is the barrel requires a conical breech face. So you're essentially building the feed ramps into the barrel. Now that's for like the 223 bolt diameter. This is a like 308 case diameter. Once you get into the magnums, Ted says that shouldn't be a problem. And there's been a few people with like a barrel nut or something, and there's been mixed reviews as to whether or not it'll feed without that conical breech. So that is one thing. I believe without the conical breech, the Nucleus will headspace on here, as well as the Archimedes. But you may run into feeding issues if you're running that 308 bolt diameter. If you're running like a 6.5 PRC or a 7 SOM, I don't think it's going to be a problem with those. Alright, so now that it's all put together, as you can see, with that trigger adjusted, I mean, this is just smooth. It's as smooth as any action I have. I've got a Lone Peak that I recently got. I've got that Origin, and it just feels nice. With that little bit shorter throw, you get a little bump right there. You can kind of see that, but it's ever so slightly. And on the way up, I mean, all that movement, there's no grit, there's nothing. It's, you know, I mean, the bolt moving in it is just smooth. It glides. It feels nice. Now the weight on this thing I weighed was 35 ounces without the trigger, and so I think that's a little bit less than what they advertised on their website, or it might just be right there. I can't remember what they advertised. With the trigger, obviously it's a little bit more than that. Once I get this rifle fully built, then we'll be able to see how smooth it actually runs over the magazine, feeding, function, all that. I'm thinking, I don't know, I'm torn. I recently got a 22 Dasher. Keep an eye out for a series kind of talking about that. I'm going to go through that rifle and that cartridge. But I'm trying to decide maybe a 22 Dasher, or I might just go straight up 6.5 Creed. As well as I'm I'm thinking about doing, and let me know what you guys think. If people would be interested, maybe I'll do it. A pre-fit versus a gunsmith fit. I'm here in Utah, so my gunsmith is Garrett Priest at Priest Precision. He's one of the best out there. A lot of people, a lot of top competitors are using him, and I love everything he's done for me. So I'm thinking of doing maybe a comparison video. Let me know what you guys think about that. If you'd like to see that, and what company of a pre-fit. I'm kind of leaning towards Preferred Barrel Blanks. They're also here in Utah. I know a lot of people out there are using Patriot Valley Arms, so there's a lot of good info on their pre-fits. And I know that those barrels are pretty much, I mean, they're pre-fits, but they're pretty much done like any standard screw-on, hand-fitted barrel to an action. Which Garrett Priest also does some pre-fits for actions, and that's how he does it as well. Is he actually has an action that he fits it to. He's not quite on board with doing these actions yet. He's had a couple in the shop, and we'll maybe get to talk to him. I'll get kind of his input on what he thinks about their consistency with headspace. Just wrapping this up, many of you I know have been looking for that Solus update and kind of the build and how it shoots. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not going to move forward with that one. I ordered this in February, the day that it opened, and I got it just about a month or so ago. But this action, okay, is what I expect from a custom action. And the innovation that has gone into this, the pivoting bolt handle, the being able to completely disassemble it without any kind of tools, building in kind of a little tool into the bolt pin, mechanical ejector, control round feed, all that stuff. The conical breech, I'm actually kind of excited for the conical breech. Like I said, I think it's going to give me a little bit extra space. But man, I love how it looks. I love how it feels. It cycles just smooth as can be. It is a shorter bolt throw, so it's going to be a little bit heavier, but it's smooth, okay? And I'm super excited for this. Like I said, let me know in the comments what you think we should do with this. Should we do another 22 dasher, kind of compare it to a Lone Peak build? Should we do a couple 6.5 Creed barrels and kind of compare them? Let me know what you think. So there's the American Rifle Company Coup de Grace. Thanks for stopping by.